Hey folks, Žehovič is Misha Naomi, Kadmila Falter. So, welcome to Tales of Nizka. I was just thinking about drag and drag medicine. Lots of people know drag and they think of men dressing up as women, they think of drag queens. But some people may or may not know that there's another aspect of drag called drag king, and then there's drag things, drag monsters, and all sorts of variety of gender expression that has come about into a more performance art aspect of drag. So originally, and I've spoken up before when I was living in the small town, and I had been arrested for assaulting a couple of men and a police officer, and I had to go to court for a few years. I was found innocent, but during that time, I started to grow my hair out. I started going by Naomi again instead of going by Serge, and I started belly dancing and going back to school and all these things really coming into my feminine self. But my divine masculine, my animus, was really, really struggling, and I started to have rape dreams. And they were really uncomfortable, they were really weird, but I got gifted Women Who Run with the Wolves at that time. And so I started to read Women Who Run with the Wolves, and then I found out that your animus, your masculine aspect, your animus and your animus, when he's being ignored, he gets really upset and he can cause the rape dreams because he's furious. And in my case, I am a person that hosts both within, and so there's a very strong male that's in there. And so then I started to ponder what could I do, and I went briefly to Victoria to visit my brother, and then I just randomly ended up at a naked bike ride. And so that was awesome. And at the naked bike ride, I borrowed a skateboard because I thought it was a little odd to borrow a bike to sit on the seat. It just didn't quite seem like something I wanted to do. And so I borrowed a skateboard, put on a hat and sunglasses, and I got towed behind a couple of people during this beautiful, hilarious naked bike ride. At one point, one poor little human got separated from the group and was nakedly biking throughout without us. And at one stage, we were trying to figure out whether or not we go to the beach or we go back through the city. And then the cops rolled up. So all of a sudden, all these naked people were like, to the beach! And we just took off. It was amazing. During that, someone mentioned a drag show. So I went to this drag show. I had briefly heard about it, but I didn't know much of anything, being from a village that no one even speaks about homosexuality without it being pedophilia. There wasn't anything in my world prior to that moment. So I went to this drag show and I watched the drag bots, but at that time they were called the Tensor Bandits and the Queen Corsets. And they were amazing because it was this collaborative, cooperative, choreographed, different numbers using kings and queens together to tell these narratives and stories. And it was exceptional. I had a great time. So then after that, when I got back to my small town, I found this hilarious homemade CD by someone called Milo. And it was called Smell the Parade. And it had these just like really, really strange, really quirky, very weird songs to it, and I thought, that's totally it. So the one day I decided to try just packing, and so I packed and I went for a walk down to the grocery store. There's only 2 blocks in Karamias, and so where do you go? So I started down Main Street, Karamias, which I'll tell some tales about Karamias at one point here. It's in Silex territory in the Smelcombe Valley in inland BC. And so I'm strutting down, going to the coffee shop, or going to the grocery store. There's no coffee shop at that point. And I go to the grocery store and I stand on the corner and I kind of put my package out a little bit. And a woman, drives by and then like glances and then like double takes. And I was like, yeah, that's right. And then I went by the work zone because that's where, what am I going to do? Who am I going to hang out with? And go hang out with the job search people. So I stopped in there and there's a couple of the old guys and this and that. And so I was standing there and I'm like, notice anything unusual about me today? Anything unusual about me today? And there's 3 guys and a woman standing there, and the dudes are like, you cut your hair. You got a new shirt. You got And I'm like, how about below the belt? Anything below the belt? And they're like, boots. You got new boots. And then I see the woman kind of glance and then flush and start to blush. And so then I just straight out point out, I'm packing. And I'm exploring my gender expression and fluidity. I've learned about this thing called drag, and I'm gonna check it out. So then I got back into Edmonton, and I put on a few variety shows. And it was me spinning staff, spinning poi, doing a bit of drag, playing some guitar, and running back and forth into the bathroom. And eventually I put shows together with other people, but it was just me, so I got a gig at the lesbian bar. And then I wanted to hire a stripper. So I used to go to the strippers a lot when I was living in Edmonton with my Crazy Bitches crew. And so I called to find a stripper, but I ended up getting asked if I wanted to strip. It was $50 for 18 minutes, $20 for your ride to and from the venue, that kind of thing, and then you get to keep your tips. And it was the amateur loop. So I ended up having the stripper come, did this variety show, and I ended up stripping for a bit. But then I found that my mental health couldn't really handle that. I was wearing a wig, and I was, peeling. And I would do my last song where you have to crawl on a blanket to collect your tips. In Alberta, they get to throw loonies, which is really degrading. I would use Nine Inch Nails' Hey Pig, and I would do really heavy songs, and I would dance to really, really heavy numbers and wear these latex high boots and do a minimal pole stuff. I never got really great at it, but I had fun. And with the latex boots, you can grip and walk up the pole a bit and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed sitting in my erotic female power, feeling safe enough to be seen as a sexualized female, because the 3 years of belly dancing had really brought that up. But then at that time, I then also balanced doing drag at the men's bar. And I was surly, and I was very like, for you, and I was very heavy metal focused. But it's what kept me mentally balanced at that time. So we're closing in on about 6 minutes here. So I'll leave that at that, and I'll take a couple of notes because there's a couple of stories that come off from all of those angles.